Final here in Logan. Utah State improves to 6-0 in Mountain West Conference play and 15-1 overall, thanks to a hard-fought, nasty victory over Nevada, 71-62. Your postgame show brought to you by Farm Bureau agent Brandon Jensen. Contact him right now, 435-752-4800. It's your future. Time to protect. Doesn't matter if it's almost 10:30. Brandon will answer. If not, I'm sure you'll find a way to get a hold of him.
Let's go. Yeah.
Just say, hey, Brandon, come on.
Brandon.
It's a late night for all of us. Let's talk some insurance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Utah State, Mason Falslev with 26, just 2 points off his career high of 28. And Falslev just tremendous tonight. Utah State overall tremendous. It's one of those nights where, you know what, not every win is going to be pretty, but wins are wins regardless.
Yeah, you're going to take this. Absolutely. That's a good Nevada team. Like I said, they're going to finish in the top 4 or 5 of the league. Some really talented guards, and then the big guy who ended up having a good game. I think 13 and 11 is what he ended up having. But the keys to the game, they ended up causing Nevada to turn the ball over 50% more than they do in a normal game, right? 14 turnovers. That's big. They lost the rebounding battle, but in the second half they won the rebounding battle, 18-16 in the second half, and that was enormous. That was the key to a lot of it. So got to give them credit. They stuck with it. It wasn't a pretty game, but when they needed to, they made the runs, and then they were able to hold on for the win.
15 fast break points tonight for Utah State. They assisted on 16 of their 22 made field goals tonight. And again, you know, the offense got a little stagnant, but here comes Nevada, who came into the game averaging 27 free throw attempts per game. Utah State holds them to 17. Now, 12 of them came in the second half. That's when Nevada started. That was more of their type of game. But still, Utah State able to take advantage of that. They forced turnovers, as you mentioned, 14 turnovers, and scored 21 points off of those turnovers, and the Aggies get the victory.
It's interesting when you look at those 3 keys to the game. It was the first half, especially at the free throw line. Nevada didn't get into the bonus until under the 4-minute timeout, right? I was saying just don't let them get into the bonus under 10 minutes, and that really limited the free throws. But they were losing the turnover and the rebounding battle in the first half, and then the switch flipped. They got to the free throw a little bit more. But Utah State able to win that rebounding, and the turnovers were huge. The turnovers leading to transition buckets were the momentum changers, not just from a points perspective, but from getting the crowd involved and allowing the energy to really get picked up in the second half, which was, I think, a big momentum boost for Utah State.
Nevada had came into this game averaging just allowing 5 steals per game. And Utah State gets 9 steals.
Yeah,
9 steals.
Almost doubled it up. It really was. I mean, 14 turnovers doesn't sound a lot, but when you're averaging 8.9 to get 5 more turnovers, especially early on when you were not getting nearly as many shots at the goal, just because of the number of offensive rebounds that they were getting. But Coach Calhoun joining us.
Hey, Coach. Tough, interesting game tonight. Had you told me that you would have given up 16 offensive rebounds, I don't know if I would have said you would have won this game, but that tap-in near the buzzer was the only field goal made on a offensive rebound tonight by Nevada.
No, just a classic Mount West battle. I thought Falslev carried us. You know, Steve had a good game plan to junk it up, come into the spectrum, and change defenses. Literally, they would show 3-2, and then as soon as the pass was made, they were going man-to-man. So, you know, hey, his junk worked tonight. That's good coaching. That's making us think a little bit. I thought our halftime adjustments were better. And then I thought 12 just willed us to a win because, you know, to only score 71 at home, you know, a lot of those teams, they're going to beat you. But as we've been saying for a couple months now, our defense is the real deal, and we can guard people.
Yeah, the fact you held them to 60, I knew in the pregame we talked about it. There's no way this team was going to score 80 points on you. So I was saying just depends if they can control the tempo, if they can muck it up. They were able to do that.
Yeah.
But it felt like in the second half, turnovers leading to transition buckets is really what created the separation.
Yeah, I mean, they don't dribble a lot. This is a weird team, Spence. This is a Steve Alford late 90s or mid 80s. I know he played, but then when Coach Knight was at Indiana, just not a lot of ball screens, right? Everything is a flare, a pin down. You're not going to see very many teams in 2025 run an offense like this. So we felt like our matchup zone would give it problems. The only thing we were worried about for 3 days is how are we going to create turnovers because they don't dribble.
Yeah.
All they do is come off flares and pin downs. So we had to just keep staying the course. And then when they started to ISO, when we would switch out, there's no entries, they start to drive. That's when you got to get your steals. And I thought we made some timely, steals in the game. Drake, I thought, had, he ended up with 3. He had 3 really big ones.
Nevada comes in averaging nearly 27 free throw attempts a game.
Yeah, they beat you up.
And now they got him in the second half, but overall 17 on the game, 10 below their average.
Yeah, I mean, they were in that double bonus the last 9 minutes. We would have pressed more, but we really couldn't because I was afraid that we would just get those ticky-tack fouls. We started to make that run when we pressed them, and then boom, we put them in the 1-on-1. And it's like, what do you do? And we just went back and, just kind of went back to our half-court set.
I felt like what you just said was exactly what you did. You stayed the course, and then you waited for your opportunity to pounce on them. But was that the message during the timeouts? Was that the message at halftime in the sense of, hey, an opportunity is going to open up? Or what were you telling these guys?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's really what I talk about every day, right? I think so many of these guys get lost in social media and looking ahead and, I'm assume something's going to happen in the game, right? Like every game's a different challenge. Every possession's big. Stay present, have a good mindset, possession to possession, and just try to get better, right? Like whether it's a film session, but throughout this game, just stay the course. This was going to be a rock fight. We knew early in the game we couldn't score. We had some bad decisions at the rim. It wasn't anything our offense. We made bad decisions and missed some early chippies, or we would have been in the high 70s.
Oh, for sure, 5-6 layups, and you got
Drake
honestly, you guys
3,
could have been 81. Really, really easy.
Yeah, but I mean they're good. I think they're a top 4 team. They're the best Mountain West team that we've played so far. I think they're going to get better. I think Camper's a real player. I think Price is really good. Comer is really good. I think they got weird wings that come in and like they can drive you, shoot off the bounce. It's like statistically the worst shot in basketball, but they make them. So I see why Steve lets them shoot them, and they're good at it. So that's what I mean by it's kind of a weird team because they shoot a lot of mid-range twos and they make them.
You got a quick week ahead of you because you go to Phoenix coming up on Saturday, a place I don't know if you've ever been as a coach. I've never been there.
No, it's going to be neat. No, I've watched it on TV for years. I've heard a lot about it. I can't imagine it's not going to be packed, right?
Yeah.
They got a great program. I think they've been to 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 4 NCAA tournaments. Bryce is a great coach. They'll be ready for us. They played last night, so they'll have one day on us. But I think we just got to embrace these challenges. Every game is going to be hard in this league.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you're going to get sick of me because we're going to do a coach's show tomorrow, so I'll let you go right now.
You know what? Actually, I got to go quick because I'm a guest speaker at my daughter's banquet. We're having a daddy-daughter dance for her club soccer, so I'm going to do 20 minutes, and then E. Hout's going to jump on.
You know what? Just have Hout do the whole thing.
I'm going to come. I don't want to miss you, Scott. I'm going to come for the first 15, so I'm going to be in a suit.
Hey, he wants the free appetizer. He wants the free appetizer.
No, I mean, if you're driving all the way from Salt Lake, I got to be there for a little bit. But I'm going to be in a suit, and then I'm going to roll out.
I love it.
All
Thanks,
right,
Coach.
thanks, guys.
There he is. Jerrod Calhoun, Utah State gets the victory.
You were there. You watched the game. Or you heard it all here on KVNU. So now it's your chance to give your thoughts and ask your questions about the action as KVNU Aggie Game Day continues with Aggie Call. The phone line is 435-753-KVNU. The text line is 435-554-1175. It's KVNU Aggie Call with J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes.
Sitting at 27 degrees under the glow of that beautiful Blue A on top of Old Main as the Aggies take care of business, beating Reno Community Penitentiary College 71-62. Good news, Stockton. Coach Alford can really, now that his second favorite team is done doing their business and losing in the Spectrum, he can watch his first favorite team take care of things. And I just,
there we go. He's learning, folks. He's learning.
I heard this was kind of the song to play. Now, let me tell you, it was insane in the Spectrum tonight. The amount of times my AirPods, I took them because I told Stockton, I was like, hey, I gotta try to do what I can to save the last decibel of my hearing. All those years of rock concerts wearing headphones and stuff. So I took
fighting off tinnitus with a piece of yarn, basically.
Yeah, and so I put my AirPods in, have noise canceling on and everything, and probably 50 times, they start cracking. Like they can't handle the noise in the Spectrum right behind us. And it was rocking. The place was going. A little bit interesting of a game. I'm going to learn one of these days when the spread's so big, Stockton. I may not try to shoot the moon on this one.
Well, I think people just didn't quite realize how sneaky of a team Nevada has been this season, right? I'm going to spend less than 60 seconds giving them their flowers, and then we're dunking on them for the rest of the night. But listen, they've won some pretty good games. They're looking at, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of their last 9, 8 of their last 10, as a matter of fact, are wins. Their only losses, a tough one at Santa Clara by 5. A confusing one at home against UC Davis. That was the early season one where we were like, I don't know if Nevada's for real. A weird one against Danny Sprinkle and company, but since then they've been solid. Their only loss since that loss to Washington was this last week at home against San Diego State. And San Diego State, the other 6-0 team in the Mountain West. So maybe people were sleeping a little bit on Nevada. I expected about a 7 to 10 point win for Utah State. We got a 9-point win. So this was a good showing. If you take out probably the first 5 minutes of the second half and you take out the first 10 to 12 minutes of the first half, this was a solid game for Utah State, and they played okay on offense, but they played phenomenally on defense.
Just want to point out, and while we're giving Nevada their flowers, Mountain West Player of the Week, Elijah Price, -3 on the plus minus. Way to go, Mountain West. You got it. Man, actually faces some competition out there and his stuff. Props, Gary Clark doing business there. But, man, Zach Keller, it doesn't really reflect in the stat sheet. You look at the stat sheet and you're like, Zach, what are you doing? 4 points, 2 for 2, 4 rebounds out there. But the 4 personal fouls, and here's where the big teller on this one, +2 on the plus minus out there. The Aggies were a better offensive team when Zach Keller was out there. Also defensively, he was able to keep Price in check. And, Nevada really didn't have any answer, although they did out-rebound the Aggies in the first half.
The 2 guys that everyone had pegged for this game kind of had a mediocre night. Let's go ahead and compare stats. I know everyone wants to know. Elijah Price, second on his team with 13 points, 4 for 7 from the field, did not attempt a three-pointer, and went 5 for 8 from the free throw line, so struggled against the Herd tonight. 11 rebounds, 10 big defensive rebounds, 2 steals from him, but turned the ball over 4 times and gave up 4 personal fouls and had 2 quick ones early on. So a tough one for Elijah Price. MJ Collins beat him out by just that little bit. 14 points for MJ. Tough shooting night, just 33% from the field, 3 for 9, but 6 for 6 from the stripe, 2 rebounds, an assist, a foul, and 2 turnovers for a plus-minus of +12. Elijah's plus-minus a -3.
Man, I tell you, it was an interesting night watching him. Wanted to focus on Price because he's their star player. Also, one of the other guys on the team that really, Camper Jr., kind of impressed me with how he was able to, elevate and get, basically be kind of a pest out there. But moving to the other side.
Pause for our shot throats in the middle of January.
Yeah, pardon that. Looking at the thing, of course, Mason, I really worry about Mason is taking Bryson Barnes level hits on the floor. I mean, it's just.
Did you know he played football in high school?
We made it to 10:34 for the first. What high school, Stockton? You want to throw that
Skyview Bobcat,
all right,
as a tight end.
Could have gone pro.
Could have.
But he was everywhere tonight. Team high for the Aggies, 26 points. 6 for 6 from the free throw line. Saw him working on the free throws coming out at halftime. But really just the 4 points, or actually, hold on. Here's the stat line. 26 points, 2 for 4 from three-point land, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, Just one turnover there in the time. Looking at the deeper stats here, did he go on here? There's 2 steals. That was the active Aggie offense and defense. It was just crazy. 9 steals. Stockton, 8 blocks. A block party between Elamine and Templin.
And 2 from Drake Allen from behind, too. Drake played awesome tonight.
Yeah, he, like, the points, and I saw him getting a little smoke because he did go 0 for 2 from three-point land, 0 for 6 from the field.
He missed 3 pretty easy layups in the second half.
But that was kind of weird. The layups were weird. That was like...
I don't know what happened to the Aggies when they got within 5 feet of the rim, but they could not get the ball between the orange thing. It was on either side, like, I think, half the game.
We need to go get some holy water from First Dam and just sprinkle it on the rims.
I think we need to sage the spectrum.
Yeah, we need to. We're the sage. But here's where it showed up for Drake. And I know he got some shade on Aggie Twitter, but here's where it changed. 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, 3 steals. He is out there and just, it seems the offense just executes at this very confident pace out there. The +/- really telling the stories. He hits a couple of those shots, that ± through the roof, and, he's only behind MJ and who else is Kobe King, who had a great game too.
Yeah, I think one of the big things too is just how active the hands were for Utah State. It had probably 9 steals, probably 20 times they got their hands on a ball, moving around on defense, getting in the passing lanes, didn't always come away with the ball, and gave up a couple tough offensive rebounds to Nevada. I think Utah State had 7 offensive rebounds, and the Wolfpack had 16. So a lot of second-chance opportunities for the Wolfpack. That being said, Utah State only allowed 3 second-chance points on the night. So clean up the rebounding a little bit, but defensively still just withstanding a lot of waves. The first 5 minutes of the second half, not only did they kind of lose a couple shooters in transition, but they had to deal with some really just poor officiating. I don't know what those guys were watching tonight, but it wasn't the basketball. And regardless, all this stuff happens. All these runs happen. You feel like you're losing gas on your home court. Mason hits a big 3, ties us at 34, and from there it was kind of a barn race until the under 12-minute mark. And this is my favorite statistic of the game, JD. 11:51 remaining in the second half. We go to the under 12 timeout. And Nevada at this point leads 44-42. They decide in their huddle, which is weird, like a weird amount onto the court. They were really weird about that tonight, and they were really mad that Utah State used their home court for their cheer squad and all that stuff. But
it's not what the Hoosiers do.
Oh my gosh.
The Hoosiers are a championship program, and the Hoosiers don't act like that. And that's who UNR Community College is trying to
take a seat, Alfred. Anyway,
he was. Look, I watched people, and I saw Coach Calhoun get fired up. Sorry to interrupt you, Stockton, but he was just. It was the wine, like nonstop in the ref's ear. Like him and Kenny Rogers Roasters, his assistant coach that was there too. Like they constantly just jawing in the official's ear.
Calhoun had twice as much of a reason to whine as Alfred did tonight, and did maybe a quarter of the whining that Alfred did tonight. It was incredible. But anyway, my favorite stat, 11:51 to go, 44-42 Nevada. They decide to taunt the herd. Right in front of the herd, on the court, during the TV timeout. They never led the basketball game again. Utah State came out of that break and went on a 6-0 run, and it was curtains from there. Do not, and I repeat, anyone in the Mountain West, if you do not play for Utah State and you're listening to this right now, do not go to the herd for smoke, because they will return it tenfold and you will lose.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those things where you saw it. It was kind of interesting to watch. To watch the, like, at the time of the game, up a little bit, and he starts giving them smoke, and the FCC requires certain words not be said, and it goes there. It's just really interesting to see the interaction. And how the herd, or how the whole place, the spectrum, and give credit to the other fans that were there too, it impacts how they play. Man, when you saw those guys put up air balls and it just goes there, like I watched the guy go back to the half court, and even his own teammate left him hanging for the high five to pick him up. It's just it's an interesting experience. And I know it's really hard for other places to experience, because I've been to some big games and things like that. Nothing, Stockton, is like the momentum and the drive that the Herd has.
It's just different, man. And listen, Grand Canyon students, it's been really fun to watch them grapple with this inadequacy complex today. They've really been trying to give the smoke to Utah State. Listen, I would be moving on from a 23-point loss really quickly, too. I get it. But they're about to find out that they just don't have the same effect on road teams as Utah State does. We play them at 12:30 on Saturday. We'll be live at 11:30 on KVNU for Aggie game day and Aggie call right after the game, obviously. But a nice afternoon game down in Phoenix. They've been camping out. Granted, half of them are camping out indoors, and it's 78 degrees outside. The low in Phoenix is 8 degrees higher than the high in Logan until tip-off. They're going to learn that it's just not quite the same, because we'll go to Grand Canyon on Saturday. I'm sure it's going to be the toughest environment that we've played in this season. They do a good job, but they're not the Herd. And when they come back to Logan, I'm going to give you an exact date on that, because it's going to be one that the Herd is going to want to show up in numbers in. When they come back to Logan on February 28th at 8 p.m., it's going to look and sound just like that. And that's when they're going to know. They're just not us.
And we're going to go ahead and take a first break here on KVNU Aggie Call. You want to get into some of the thoughts, we'll roll through the text line coming up here in just a couple of minutes, 435-554-1175. That's 435-554-1175. And we'll be back with more Aggie Call.
Master Auto Tech delivers honest, reliable auto repair and maintenance from certified technicians who put customers first. From routine service to major repairs, they're committed to quality work and clear communication. With 22 Utah locations, including Logan, Brigham City, and Ogden, there's always a Master Auto Tech nearby. Master Auto Tech, expert care, local service, and confidence you can trust.
Your trusted, helpful expert, Master Auto Tech.
Hi, this is Gene Needham of SC Needham Jewelers. I would like to welcome all USU students back to Logan. Perhaps this is the year you'll get engaged. Thousands of Aggies have shopped our store over the past century. We are Utah's oldest jewelry store. My children, Sylvan, JD, Elizabeth, Stewart, and Stratford represent our fifth generation of jewelers. When choosing a ring, visit our website at scneedham.com or simply visit our store in downtown Logan, where Utah gets engaged. SC Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
Spend less time at the post office. With Formax and Mint mailing systems from Les Olson IT, you can quickly, accurately, and easily process your outgoing mail and even save on postage. Fold your documents, stuff and seal your envelopes, print addresses, weigh and measure to apply proper postage, all with the click of a button. With multiple model options available, you're sure to find a Formax solution and Mint mailing device that perfectly fits your business needs. Les Olson IT.
Hi, this is Gene Needham of SC Needham Jewelers. I would like to welcome all USU students back to Logan. Perhaps this is the year you'll get engaged. Thousands of Aggies have shopped our store over the past century. We are Utah's oldest jewelry store. My children, Sylvan, JD, Elizabeth, Stewart, and Stratford represent our fifth generation of jewelers. When choosing a ring, visit our website at scneedham.com or simply visit our store in downtown Logan, where Utah gets engaged. SC Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
This is Garrett with Cache Valley Bank. Life has a way of moving quickly. Kids growing up, students starting fresh, and business owners taking bold new steps. At Cache Valley Bank, we're here for all of it. Whether you're opening your first account, growing your business, saving for the future, or planning what comes next, we're proud to be your trusted financial partner right here at home. Cache Valley Bank. Real relationships, real solutions for every stage of life. Member FDIC.
Analysis of today's game. It's KVNU Aggie Call with J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes.
10:44 and a Blue A in beautiful Cache Valley. The Aggies taking care against business against the Wolfpack, taking down the UNR. At 71-62, you're listening to Aggie Call, 435-554-1175 for the text line to get in. That's 435-554-1175, locked and loaded and ready to go. 8-9-6-8 up first. The game was a little too close, but it counts as a win. I agree. The metrics probably not going to be too rough on everything on that one, but you never know. Of course, our friends down south were a little upset that they dropped in the AP because, well, they're like, we beat our rival. Well, you got to do the metrics. You got to play the numbers. The Aggies were, I believe, 11.5 and went up to 13.5-point favorites. A little bit closer to that to the final score there with just a 9-point win. But Stockton, a win is a win.
Yep, win is a win. And again, I'll echo what I said at the top of the show. I think that was about what I expected out of this game. A lot of people thought it was going to be a wider margin, a worse Nevada team that we saw tonight. They're just not as bad as some people thought they were. Are they as good as Utah State? No, not even close. But they're not as bad as we thought they were.
So I'm going to try to psychoanalyze my future picks. When the spread is close, blowout. When the spread says blowout, close. Yeah. I think that's the new common core basketball math.
Good rule of thumb is if the spread is over 7.5, it's going to be a single-digit game. If the spread is within 6.5, it's going to be a double-digit blowout.
Isn't that wild? So I'm Grand Canyon. I had to make sure I didn't say Green Canyon. Congratulations on Green Canyon for their win tonight. They put things down. But Grand Canyon, we're talking about their student section camping out and stuff. Looking at just the early predictors, it's not looking good. For them.
Yeah, realistic.
For them.
Now, listen, again, echoing what I said at the top of the show, I respect what they do at Grand Canyon. They're very passionate, especially for a for-profit university. And they get in there, they get rowdy for a number of reasons. I have theories. I won't share them publicly. But Utah State has a 74.5% chance to win this game. The line has not been posted yet by Vegas, but I expect this one to open at about 7.5 for Utah State, maybe 8.5. Grand Canyon lost by 23 at New Mexico last night. Now, I know they're going back home, but they've also lost by 10 to Colorado State at home this season. They've lost by 6 to Oklahoma State at home. They've lost by 13 to Iowa at home. They're a very gettable team. They've also lost to Jerrod Calhoun's Youngstown State, 90-81 at home.
Coming in from Nevada probate attorney on the text line.
He said Nevada, by the way. No. Shout out to all my East Coasters, man, because that is how it's pronounced. Thank you.
Nevada.
Come
on, man. Okay. Love watching Nevada. Reno forget how to score for 6 straight minutes. Falslev cooked the Spectrum War, but that was that. 15-1, 6-0. Keep sleeping on Logan. Baby Baba Booey. Baba Booey. Yeah, so I love Stern's interviewing techniques over the years.
Grand Canyon is a for-profit student loan scam with a basketball team.
that's where I went there. I know we're getting into a little pregame for Grand Canyon, but just maybe if you name your university after something, it shouldn't be 223 miles south. I mean,
it's Phoenix Tech.
Yeah, it's like Phoenix State Community Penitentiary. It could be.
No, someone on X made a good point earlier. You can't throw the state tag on a for-profit university. So.
Oh, okay. I'm learning things every day here. Up next on the text line, let's see. We got 0812 Andrew. They did a great job winning. Yeah, agree that. Up next, we got 5294. Whoever commented on the color of the spectrum, that didn't matter. There was plenty of blue covering the seats in the white, blue and white, and there was strong tonight. Won't say anything about the black and white colors because we already knew how terrible that was.
Yep, no black jerseys, only navy, only white and blue. The blue gloves were on point tonight. The latex makes everything louder. It's proven.
Like the noise canceling in my AirPods. Just
the subs in your AirPods are probably going to suffer tomorrow, just a little bit. The auditory processing of those devices has deteriorated. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well,
9315.
As long as it's not my main hearing devices that deteriorate.
9315 up on the text line now. Now we turn to the team with the softest fan base that has to camp indoors and say how cold it is when your daily low is 45 degrees. If USU fan base and student is toughness bleeds into the team, does this mean the softness bleeds over to the Cantaloupe team players from Arizona? Either way, it doesn't matter. All we need to do is just win. And are you sure the Nevada coach is not a brother to Leon? They whine similarly.
It's just you study, how people present themselves stuff. And I know Coach Calhoun can get fired up, and I saw him several times. But he has more of a, his is contained. And he's not going out there and trying to, hey, you guys, this isn't working right. Hey, you guys. And that's what it looked like. And, of course, I joke, his coach, Kenny Rogers, that was next to him, they were just there with the officials every time out. Another thing I noticed, every media timeout and stuff, when they moved the chairs out, the officials had to, force them off the floor and be like, come on, guys, let's get moving, let's play. It just didn't seem like there was a crispness. And then you see one side that's kind of running their mouths a little bit. Did you see the official when there was something going on? I think it was Zach Keller. The guy went to the hole and Zach missed him. They might have collided on the bottom.
No, Zach whiffed on the block entirely. Never touched him.
Even
and they
on the
foul.
bottom hand? His legs or anything?
Never touched. He missed him by about this much.
Okay, so that went nuts. Well, the whole coaching staff and bench, all the way to the red shirts, everybody stood up. And I watched the ref just kind of blow the whistle and go like that, put his hand down to silence him. And they all sat down. At no point did the Wolfpack, for the first 10 minutes of the second half where they didn't have a foul called on them, at no point were they put in check. It was just a really weird officiating vortex in the Twilight Zone.
Something else I noticed too is those officials were willing and eager to go over and talk to Nevada's coach and Nevada's bench during that entire game. Refused to go over to Calhoun's half of the floor. Refused to talk to Jerrod. Refused to explain anything to the bench. Only interacted with Jerrod Calhoun after Calhoun won the challenge on the tip that they called to Nevada, and that was the third time they missed that call that night. So
I'm surprised the last one where Nevada threw the ball out of bounds, it didn't get switched back. It just seems some really weird, and to go with the discrepancy for that long, and I'm looking at the scoreboard going, maybe I missed it, maybe I missed the foul, and then we got it with just about 10 minutes left.
It was genuinely the objectively worst officiated game I've seen this season. Not close. That was a terrible crew tonight.
Man, there's a crew in the future that's just saying right now, hold my beer, Stockton.
Yeah, they're waiting on him.
Hopefully not. But
no, Vern just heard that and his ears perked up.
Yeah, he's like, I have a job. I have a mission. We got to get it. Looking at some of the stats lines, so we'll take a look at those too, but also going back to the text line now. Open to you, 435-554-1175. We're celebrating an Aggie win here on KVNU. I think, what do we got
We did miss one more from 93-15 that was a little further up. He said there was a section in there where Perriman made some bad passes 3 to 4 times. What would you guys say contributes to that? Is that just because he's a freshman? Yes, I think he makes some very young decisions on the floor a lot of the time. And he'll work that out. He'll coach that out. He'll get called out in film session, and he'll be better as we go forward. But 18, 19-year-old guys, sometimes they get a little bit flustered when they're playing against 23, 24-year-olds that are coming at them full speed and try and force the ball. They think they have a shot that they don't because they don't have the experience of seeing how fast guys can close out at this level. So just stuff like that. I think he's just a little young.
On the other hand, though, there were certain times when he was on the floor – Calhoun was communicating with him, and he was calling the offense. He was calling the shots.
Defensively, he had a couple huge takeaways.
I mean, and look, it's all about experience and running with these guys. We're just in the first handful of games with these guys. Yeah, they've been playing in practice, but knowing how they're going to react on the floor, Stockton, that's going to take some time to develop. And in mid-January right now, yeah, it's a little bit of a concern. But I think this is going to be something we're going to see cleaned up as the season goes, just like you saw Drake kind of go through that season and just totally bring it back. And 9315 with the second part of that, Drake did amazing for being on the 6th side. You could definitely see it on the broadcast. Yeah, points-wise, maybe not there, a little rough shooting, but every facet of the game, steals, blocks, assists, rebounds, he was there.
Drake played his role today. And I think that's where some box score watchers can get a little bit confused is they're looking at the field goal line and saying, oh, well, what's he doing? He got to the foul line a couple times late in the game and made 3 of his 4 foul shots that really helped push that lead out and give Utah State a little comfort towards the end of the game. But aside from that, get your eyes away from the points part of the stat line and look at the 5 rebounds, the 5 assists, the 2 blocks, the 3 steals. Only turned the ball over 1 time and took it away from Nevada 5. +8 in the plus-minus was fourth best on the team behind MJ, Colby King, and Mason Falslev.
And Drake was the one that the ball went back to on offense when it sputtered a little bit. There seemed to be some movement, and then it got stagnant for a little bit. They would get the ball back to Drake to kind of settle things down. Up next on the text line, we've got 1326. Still time for you to get in, 435-554-1175. We're here as long as you're here. I've got Craig and Will taking over the Valley's Morning News at 6, so I'll get a little time to sleep in, but we'll be here all night if you guys want to talk about the Aggies picking up their victory, 13-26. We rebounded so much better in the second half. We closed the rebound disparity significantly. I agree. I know there's looking at the team lead in rebounds, it's several guys, but I'm giving it to one guy. The rebounder tonight for me is Colby King. I watched him go fight in basically a barroom brawl and come down with the board several times. I watched him out elevate Price a couple times for boards. It was insane. And without Colby King, 5 points doesn't really tell the stories there, but 5 rebounds. He had 2 assists. He had only 1 turnover, but 2 steals, the plus 11 on the plus minus.
Those 2 steals were so massive in the point swing of the game. In the back half of that second half, Utah State goes from potentially having to dog it out in a back and forth, lead changes every possession game, 2 Colby King steals in a minute, and they're suddenly up 6, and they kind of didn't really have to worry after that. So just awesome stuff there. I also want to shout out Adlin's work on the glass today, rebounding, but also defensively. He had a couple monster blocks.
The 3 blocks him and Carso had, great stuff. 7994 is up next.
My 2 favorite key plays of the game. Number 1, the Drake Allen tip and calls for the play review and overturn. Yep, that's it was funny. I remember watching that sequence, and Calhoun is screaming at these guys, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And 3 of them are going over. They're like, "Yes, review the play. Do it." He did. He won the review. Finally. But yeah, second one, Mason steal off the missed free throw from Price under the Aggie basket and the layup. That was an awesome sequence that sealed the game. That was it.
I think there is a thing to say, we talked about Bryson Barnes being able to will the team to win. I really feel like Mason has that kind of energy with the team, and you saw it out there today. He got beat up. Like the concussions that kid has got to be taken, the hits and everything, not getting the calls.
Hey, you know why he can handle that physicality?
Because I heard he played rugby once, right?
Something like that.
All right.
American rugby.
Up next, 0783 here on Aggie Call. Looks like we've got...
Probably worth acknowledging the Grand Canyon students already camping out for the game. We talked about that.
And I'm okay with that. If you put me in 72-degree weather and have peeled grapes and palm branches fanning me off, I'll camp too. This isn't the herd camping out last night in 20-degree weather. They're camping out in Arizona in January. I remember walking out of the Glendale Stadium, the thing that looks like the giant Led Zeppelin, so to speak. After the Super Bowl loss, the Seahawks should have run the ball. Don't want to talk about it, but it was like 65 degrees. Yep. Like it's not a big deal.
I posted this earlier today when I saw this picture of tents indoors for Grand Canyon. The high in Phoenix over the next 3 days between now and tip-off is 80 degrees. That'll be 80 degrees tomorrow, 79 on Friday, 78 on Saturday. The low during that time is 47 degrees overnight on Friday night. Do you want to know what the high is in Logan in that same time frame, JD?
We'd be lucky to get up there.
39 degrees.
Yeah.
It is 8 degrees warmer at its very coldest in Phoenix than it is at its very warmest in Logan over the next 3 days. So, yeah, great. It's easy to camp when it's summer all the time. Good for you. Utah State was out there in tents when I was walking to class this morning, and it was 22 degrees. So,
coming out of the spectrum, it was the chilly one.
Like I said, they're just not built like us.
Coming up next on the text line, 5662. Still time for you to get in on the KVNU Aggie Call. We're here as long as you are, 435-554-1175 from 5662. It looks like glad for the win. Lots of misses at the rim that we'll need to make on Saturday. Got to give UNR Penitentiary some credit. They're a solid team. It's catching on.
Yeah, they're not a sleeper. I think they'll probably end up as a 3 or 4 seed in the Mountain West tournament.
I'm going to see if Coach Alford will change his second favorite team's name to the Mean Machine. It might work. Work for Adam Sandler and those guys in that prison in Texas. Up next,
11:07, I think.
11:07. Fun to be in the Spectrum tonight. The students were loud and pumped. All the refs seem to be in a power struggle and lead to some extremely poor calls. Kind of agree on that. Really weird game there. I echo Stockton's statements about the timeout circle for Nevada being obnoxiously far into the court.
I've never seen a team so eager to get away from their bench. Weird.
Just glad we haven't heard any fire extinguisher glass broken yet. Go Aggies. Yeah. It definitely was. There's a decorum and just being kind, and you could see that when they're setting up the little games and everything like that. Come on, just move to the side. It's no big deal. And you saw the coach just sitting there throwing his hands up in the air. How am I supposed to coach when I've got this stuff? Isn't he supposed to worry about his own band?
Something like that. I hear that they don't even really have a band in Reno. I don't know.
Up next, 9227. We've got the iPad staff member. Hilarious job. Lots of pressure on them for reviews.
It's tough, too, because some of those replays don't get in time. They don't get the replay in time.
I know there was one, and everybody was looking for a challenge, and
it was the very first one. It was this really bad call that they say the ball deflected off Gary's forearm. They don't show the replay until the ball is inbounded by Nevada, and a couple seconds later the replay runs. It is very clearly off the forearm of a Nevada player. I believe it was their number 50, Ethan Crowley, and it very clearly went off his right arm, never went close to Gary, and they just never challenged it, never reviewed it because they didn't have time to see the replay.
And I think when we saw the replay on the Jumbotron, play had already resumed, so
yes,
kind of you can't go back. Apparently, you can't throw that red flag on. Now
the field. I know they watch the live feed, and it is on a slight delay from when you're in person. Usually about a 30-second delay from in person versus on the TV or on the radio. Might have been a little bit longer, and obviously with the sold out Spectrum service, internet in there gets a little spotty. So who knows really? But they managed to win the challenge that they got in the second half and managed to right the wrongs there. But yeah, I'm going to say this one more time, then I'm going to let it go because it's going to frustrate me all night. Really bad officiating crew, worst I've seen this year.
So coming up in 5 minutes, we'll ask Stockton how he really feels about the officiating as you're listening to Aggie Call here on KVNU Logan.
Just wait till after midnight and then I'll really let it loose.
1021 FM, 610 AM, and to Aggie fans around the world at kvnutalk.com. 4387, moving up the text line. We will get to Coach Calhoun before we get on out of here. 4387. It wasn't the same style of win we've gotten used to, but our defense was great tonight. Great to see Mason come up huge when MJ had a lesser night. Love how Elamine's confidence is growing. That three he hit with 5 minutes left was huge. Stockton definitely see Elamine refining that game, and I think each game you're seeing a little bit more polish, a little bit more refinement from the freshman's game. And, those 3 blocks tonight, man, watching him cover, I know he's 6'9", but his wingspan, it's just massive, and he just shuts down anybody around him. And if he's got to make up ground, he can make it up really quick with his hops.
It's a huge jump when you go from high school to Division I basketball, especially when you're playing for a team that's as high calibered as Utah State. But he's starting to realize he's got a good enough sample size now to realize that his game translates well to this level of basketball. Now, he needs to put on weight. He needs to put on muscle. Everyone knows that. If he's going to be successful over the next 4 years in the NCAA, whether or not it's at Utah State to be determined, he needs to put on muscle. And he will. But the way he moves, the way he can shoot the ball, if you put 20 to 30 pounds more muscle on that guy and teach him a little bit better footwork on the blocks, he is going to be the best stretch three in the league.
Up next on the text line, 4475. This one's for you. Nice little graphic there of the referees in stripes and a little soggy bottom boys. Oh, brother, we're out there reference. Yes.
And don't forget the zebra stripe warm-up pants for Nevada that they were wearing tonight looked suspiciously like the referee tops.
You guys think I'm joking about the penitentiary thing in Reno? Come on. I lived in Southern Nevada for almost 20 years. Hey, we know what happens up in Reno.
Nevada.
And you guys. 5551. Is everyone still healthy? Protect 12 at all costs. Yeah. Man, can we put Mason in a guardian cap? Like, I don't know what we have to do to get some of the calls for this guy. I almost want to go get.
He needs to stop looking so composed through contact. Is what it is. Elijah Price does this, and this is how he scores most of his points. But he's a foul merchant. He looks when he feels contact, he makes it look terrible. Mason just plays through the contact because he wants to score, but he's not selling his fouls, and that's what some of these other guys in the league do so well. It's what Mason, I think, needs to start doing.
Yeah, if he sells that and he gets to the free throw line a little bit more, that's going to bump up the scoring average. But also, might be nice to, when you got a guy who's taking some hits like that, you have somebody else who kind of steps up to be a little bit of more of the enforcer, and see how that plays out. Carson got in there, Gary Clark got in there, Zach Keller got in there. They were banging around, but Mason doesn't play he's not a finesse basketball player. He doesn't just kind of, he can. Don't get me wrong. He could totally finesse it, but he's just all in all the time.
He's a crash and bang and make it rain kind of guy. He's not going to get in there and try and sell fouls and, hobble his way over to the free throw line with a little smug smile on his face and then miss 3 of his free throws. That's for Elijah Price. Mason Falslev plays basketball. He wants to score. He wants to play pure basketball. But in the age of bad officiating, quick whistles, heavy free throw attempts for a lot of scorers, sometimes you got to play the game. And I think Mason's got to learn that game just a little bit better because he's a little stubborn when it comes to that contact, and he's trying to make it look like it doesn't take him off his game when sometimes it does, and because he's trying to sell it the opposite way, he doesn't get the fouls that he deserves. Moving up to 4-1-5-1. Can't say enough about Mason Falslev and how much he is always hustling and never gives up on a play. He's not afraid to sacrifice his body, the true leader of this team. Yeah, pretty much.
All right, wait. 0-1-5-8, you caught me. Hold on a second. Here, from 0-1-5-8, you caught me. We are going to lose against San Diego State on January 31st, only our second loss this season. I don't like that negativity there. And I don't know who won the Logan game tonight. Jason's
still at the Spectrum.
Yeah, Jason's still at the Spectrum right now.
I'm checking my final score thread. I'm not sure that we had that covered. It was at American Heritage, and because we had Aggie basketball on KVNU, it's probably going to be until the morning before we get a final score. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Oh, nope. No, sorry, that was from the last game. Okay. Yeah, final scores in high school tonight from around the valley: Mountain Crest, Whoop, Tooele, Bear River beat Stansbury by 9, and Green Canyon 74, Deseret Peak 32. So those are the ones we know of.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that and see if we can.
I think Skyview beat Ridgeline by 3 last night.
7068. Talk about the depth of our bench. Anderson buried there. I think this was just a tight rotation game.
I also don't think Tucker has any business in the 9-man rotation right now. Well, I hate to say it, but he's not that good this year.
Well, yeah, when you look at who played, let me grab the stats back over here. When you look at the rotation here, this is a very, very tight 9-man rotation looking at it, and I don't see anybody cracking it unless an injury comes. Now, if we play an opponent where we get a little space, I could see that coming in, but always need to be ready to perform. Yes, Tucker's sitting on the bench right now, but Tucker Anderson, a very deadly weapon off the bench for a three-point shooter and also defensive-wise, and something we're going to need in conference play as we work through. But, yeah, definitely one of those things where we didn't see Jordy, we didn't see Tucker. We really didn't see that next line come out. Who else am I missing?
Well,
Kearney?
Yeah,
didn't see Kearney.
Luke Kearney didn't play tonight, but listen, if we're going to be objectively honest, Tucker and Jordy have not been playing good basketball this year. And at this point in the season, halfway through January, getting really into the load of conference play, there's only a handful of games left on the schedule where you can let those guys try and find their feel. It's been 2.5 months. You can't be waiting for guys to find their shot at this point in the season.
Up next, 9315 back in. There was a Grand Canyon fan that tried to say, has the herd ever camped out in 110 degree heat? Grand Canyon fan would camp out in 100 degree heat in June, July, August, knowing basketball season doesn't kick off until late October. That's the kind of education they get there.
I would love to know the last time it was 110 degrees between November and March in Phoenix. I doubt that statement entirely, but yeah, that's a for-profit degree for you. 9292. Grand Canyon will soon be renamed Mid Bunyan Bible and Sword.
Oh my gosh. We're gonna have fun on Saturday.
It's gonna be great.
You guys are rocking and rolling. 435-554-1175. Still got time to get your text in. We're here as long as you guys are. This coming in from 8632. I think Nevada gave other teams the recipe to beat USU. Play slow and hold MJ below 10 on poor efficiency. This team is mediocre if MJ is slowed down at all.
Are we sure about that?
I think the Aggies,
because we also have the second best player in the Mountain West.
Well, yeah, the 9 points, a victory. Yeah, a little less of the metrics, but they handled business. And this Wolfpack team is decent. They do have the reigning Mountain West Player of the Week, who is an early candidate for the NBA Player of the Year.
I don't think it's necessarily about MJ's slow start, although that was somewhat of a factor. My biggest thing for Utah State tonight was, you left 12 points off the board in missed layups, and you got destroyed on the defensive glass in the first half. It talked a lot about the improvement from first half to second half for Utah State in rebounding. In the second half, Nevada had 4 offensive rebounds, 16 total rebounds. In the first half, they had 12 offensive rebounds. That was more than their 11 defensive rebounds for a total of 23. So Utah State did a lot better job of cleaning up the defensive glass in that second half. But the reason that this was so close to me was because possessions kept extending for Nevada, and Utah State couldn't hit layups and wasted quick possessions that way. It was just kind of a flurry of weird bounces and factors that usually don't take you apart on their own, but there were a couple of them together that had us asking questions at the under 16.
The Aggies out-rebounded in the first half, 23-16. Turned that around in the second half. The Aggies out-rebounded the Wolfpack 18-16, but still kind of a thing. I don't know if a blueprint. I think the Aggies are going to get the best from every team that they face throughout this season, and that's what you're going to want.
And another point I want to make on top of that, because I've been seeing a little bit of debate about this, they were going to get that whether they were ranked or not. Let's make no mistake here. That was going to happen whether or not they picked up the ranking. Utah State is a national brand for basketball. They're one of the top 25 teams in the country, even higher than that if you look at certain metrics. And they are, for all intents and purposes, not only the team to beat in the Mountain West, but one of the teams to beat in the country. Utah State, by the way, after that game, did drop one spot in KenPom from 21 to 22, overtaken by Louisville, but still at a plus 22.92 in their net efficiency margin.
Also want to give you things just a little bit in perspective. Just let's put things a little bit in perspective. The Aggies took care of business tonight. They were 11.5-point favorites to start the spread, 13.5, some 14.5. Ended up winning by 9 points, 71-62. To take care of the Nevada Wolfpack. Let's put this in perspective, because right now, favored by about the same. Favored by about 13 points. BYU is struggling at home right now with just about 5 minutes left. TCU 63, BYU 63. It could be a lot different. Could be a lot different. So I think it's all about perspective and how we look at it. I think 8824 is up next there, Stockton.
8824 says Mason was flat out awesome tonight, no doubt. I think his best game of the season to this point. Actually, I know for a fact, it's objectively his best game of the season tonight. I really feel like as we move forward, the X factors for the ceiling of this team will be Elamine and Perriman. Yes. Those two, unfortunately, have a very high ceiling and a very low floor. And a lot of that, again, to echo the conversation we had about Perriman a couple minutes ago, is just youth and inexperience. They will be coached out of that. They will grow out of that. They'll figure out how not to panic in some of those situations, how to make better plays, how to make better passes instead of forcing some shots that they shouldn't be taking. That all comes with experience. It takes time to gain that experience. But their athleticism as a thing we have missed when facing the most talented teams is the end of that text from 8824. Adlin Elamine, I don't think we've had someone as big as him that can move like him, that can shoot like him at this early in his career at Utah State ever. I know, Wayne Estes was one of the best players in the NCAA back in his day, but he wasn't as big as Elamine was. And Adlin like I said, if he puts on 20 to 30 pounds and he stays at Utah State for even another year, he's going to be the best small forward in the Mountain West.
It might be a little bit more. I know there's a lot of talk, and I'm not going to address it right now about pay and back up the Brinks truck and all that stuff. But there is a chance that some of these young talented Adlam, he could play another year here, and he might not even be in college sports anymore. I mean, that's watching the polish just from these couple of games, 16, 17 games that we've seen so far. He is really refining, and watching it in person from the last time we saw him in person, Stockton, when he's jumping to make those threes, I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's 6'9", blocking shots, making rebounds, an absolute dog on defense. But then he's able to pull up and drain a three. I'm telling you, very special kid. You know, he's going to get a lot of attention, but also a lot of big attention in the future.
One of the biggest changes, I think, in basketball over the last 10 years has been obviously the move to heavy scoring from outside the line, right? But if you have a big man that can contribute there, because a lot of teams, they've got big men that can clean up on the glass, can post up, but they can't shoot. When you have a big guy that can shoot and move around on the post and pull down rebounds and get some big blocks, it changes the dynamic of your team. It changes your game plan entirely. Adlan El-Amin has changed the dynamic of this Utah State team. I think one of the biggest holes that we had last season was we had a couple good shooters, but we didn't have anyone down low that was big enough to compete with the biggest guys in this league, but they also couldn't really shoot down low either. And, you know, for some big man, you don't need to be able to do that. But for Utah State, a team that's built outside in, a team that relies and dies by the three, that's so important. It changes the game. It improves your offense exponentially, and I think that having that confidence for El-Amin really start to set in is just going to benefit this offense tenfold as we go through the season.
Up next on the text line, 0891. I've seen many games this season is close or closer than this one. Once you're ranked, you get the best of the best. Also, didn't Mason Falslev play football?
Something like that.
No, he is actually an extreme snowboarding champion, and in the summertime, he surfs. So I
the mental image of Mason Falslev snowboarding just made Jerrod Calhoun throw up.
Might get a love note on that one. 0158 here on KVNU. Aggie call.
We already hit this
We already
one.
got that one. All right. I think a group text got sent here, and we got included in it. But this one from 4177 Aggie fans. I know. Yeah. The crack open the wallet to keep El-Amin. There will be a defensive play in the second half where he's standing at the top of the key. When Nevada swung the ball open to the guy in the corner, Adlan took 3 steps and was right in front of him. He had to pass the ball somewhere else. I've never seen a defensive play like that in my 60 years of watching Aggie basketball. Yeah, his athleticism and just his baseline stats help him overcome any distance. Add the talent, the refinement. It's big, but I'm not asking Aggie fans to crack open any wallets until everything for NIL, revenue sharing, and all that stuff works itself out.
And the conference transition that is happening on July 1st of this year. Let's remember, what comes into the university is going to increase over the next 7 months. So let's pump the brakes a little bit.
And also understand that things have changed. We talked about it in the pregame, that there are some new transfer rules for NCAA hoops. Just letting you know, the portal is now 15 days, opening the day after the national title game, 5 days waiting period for the portal to open after a new head coach is hired, mid-year transfers not eligible to play. So there's going to be a little bit more stability. So there will be a wild, wild west. You know, tax day, April 15th, won't be the worst day in the history anymore. It'll be the transfer portal in April.
And just to get to the meat of the text here about the defensive play, this is another aspect of the game that is just so much better when you have a shooting big. The bigs, a lot of the time, are going to stick to that interior defense. They can read the offensive play from their assignment a lot better down low because they know what to look for. If you have a big that can go out and shoot and he knows what to look for in shooting situations, he's going to know when to close out on that shooter much better than a guy like Nimi Keita could, because Nimi just doesn't shoot from outside that much, so he's not looking at the same stuff that those shooters are. But when you have a big guy 6'8", 6'9", that can move as quick as Adlin can and can shoot like he can. He knows what he's looking for defensively from these shooters, and that, I think, makes a huge difference on defense.
Coming up next on the text line here on KVNU, we've got 8070. Love Mason's game tonight. Also love Kobe King's quiet leadership as well. This is besides the great game. Do you guys know who the older lady is the whole team hugs on their way into the tunnel?
I don't, actually.
You know what? I'll put 8070. I'll put some feelers out on that one. On that, agree with you on Mason's game. Also, focused on Kobe. He is intense. Watching him focus on defense and everything, when he communicates with the referees, very calm, cool, and collected. On the everybody calling for the replay out of bounds, Kobe was right there with Drake, and he just walked over quietly with confidence to the official and said X, Y, and Z. I agree. Also, the fact that Kobe King can jump up there, elevate, overprice, get rebounds. Just insane. He was an absolute gem in this game, but I agree with that leadership. And, you know, Kobe gets out there on the floor. He plays like he's 6 to 8 inches taller than he actually is. It is remarkable to watch how he is, the time, the refinement, the energy, the talent, everything, the intangibles. He just makes it all work out there and was really kind of the spark plug to keep things together. You know, you keep a couple of those guys that have made things. Kobe was a part of that big unit change. It was almost like a line change in hockey. And they'd roll out, and you'd see Perryman, Kobe King, Carson Templin, and who's the other one that would come out with them on that end? It is 11:21 at night, and I have been up since 4:45. So.
Was it Zach or was it Gary?
Gary comes in. That's the line change. So it's almost like a hockey line change, and they moved in. And there was some tinkering with it moving back. You saw the starters come in with Gary in for Zach, but Zach Keller, a really, really big bonus for the Aggies. From 4545, Kearney should be getting at least 20, 30 minutes a game. He doesn't miss.
Right. Anyway, moving on. 0010 just got to shout out the free throw shooting tonight. Really came in clutch. Yeah, they did 83.3% from the free throw line tonight, which is a good, I think, 10 percentage points better than what they're averaging on the season. Hold on, let me double-check my stats on that. Their free throw average on the season, 71.6, so yeah, 12 points better than their average.
Just updating the BYU-TCU game. BYU decided to show up. They're up 7 points with a minute and a half left to go.
They've been up 7 in this game before. It's not over yet.
Up next on the text line, 5294. Anybody can show us the blueprint on how to beat them if you pay the refs enough. I don't think there was any bribes there. I just think there's definitely a difference in etiquette.
A wise man once said, never attribute to malice what you can easily attribute to incompetence. It was not malice tonight. It was just bad officiating.
It's just, some really weird calls. And the disparity in that first 10 minutes and some of the calls that the Wolfpack were getting, they were just tripping over their own feet. They really were. And, you know, there were some where they let Mason and everybody fight on the ball like they were in the Roman Coliseum, yet it looks like a Wolfpack player had the chair pulled out from underneath him. He just falls down. Oop.
Well, this is what I'm talking about with Mason needing to sell some of this contact is he goes down, he gets hit, he makes the layup, he pops right back up on the baseline. Nevada, they feel any sort of contact, they immediately look like they got shot. That's what Elijah Price does. It's how he scores so many points. So, Mason, if that's the game that the officials are going to call, you got to play that game.
Up next, and looks like the last one in for right now, 8824 here on the text line. After playing Fresno State last year, I was hoping we would pursue Price. Can you imagine what this team would look like with him? Yeah, very talented, but ran into Zach Keller and Gary Clark, who kind of took care of business and frustrated, the reigning Mountain West Player of the Week.
And I'm going to say this one more time, and this is not to take away from Elijah Price because he is a very talented basketball player. There's no question about that. Is he as talented as MJ Collins this week or last week? No, probably not. But he's very talented. His rebounding numbers would be a great help for this team, but I echo what I said earlier today. A lot of those numbers are inflated because he's the only guy doing that stuff for Nevada. When he's on the floor, he's the only guy picking up some of those stats. I mean, when you look at
their big guys out, so he's the big. He's all they got.
Yeah, and so they had to get some rebounds from their guards today. I thought Von Weems had crazy number, 5 offensive rebounds, where a couple of those just shot down into his chest right after the rim. Couple weird bounces, different few bounces, and Utah State wins this game by 20. It just happens. It'll be fine. But yeah, Elijah Price, I think, looks as good as he does stat-wise because there aren't as many. Nevada's not as deep of a team as Utah State is. You had 13, 14, and 11 from 3 or 5 starters. Everyone else 7-7, 4-4, 2, and then no one else scored points. It's not as deep of a rotation as Utah State, not as deep of a roster as Utah State. You don't have as many contributors as the Aggies do, and so some of those stats are inflated because the job falls to you.
We're going to go ahead and the text line's still open, 435-554-1175, but it looks like we are going to go ahead and hear from Coach Calhoun's post-game thoughts. Thanks to Jason Walker from the Full Court Press for getting these. About 12 minutes of listening to Coach Calhoun. Then we'll come back and wrap things up here on Aggie Call.
Okay. You got head coach Jerrod Calhoun. Coach, to start with the opening statement on the next win.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great college basketball game. Two teams that laid it all out. A lot of adjustments, a lot of battles. I thought Coach Alford did a tremendous job with his defense and his game plan. They mixed up their defenses. They got really, really good players. I think Price, Camper, they got a great team. So for our guys to stay the course kind of on a night where we only scored 71 points, I think it's a real test to our defense and our toughness and our commitment to just continue to play and do whatever the game presents. Don't assume anything. Play possession by possession and stay present. And I thought we did that.
How nice is it having a team where you've had some games where you've blitzed the team, you look like 20 or 30 in some of these games, but then your team's just as capable of making those clutch plays when other teams are throwing punches at you as well. What's it like seeing this team?
Yeah, I mean, we're 16 games in. Every game's been a little bit different, right, Jason? Recently, we've been on a little bit of a run where, we've beaten teams by a pretty big margin. But the reality of it is this is the Mountain West. Every night is going to be a battle. There's going to be real environments, real coaches, real players. And I thought tonight's student body, there was a buzz in this building. I would put that in my top 3 or 4. I thought the herd really brought it. I did not know they camped out last night. I need Jaden to do a better job to tell me, or one of my staff guys not having social media. I would have drove up here in person and bought them whatever they wanted. But that's, like I told John Henson, that's why this basketball program means so much to this community, because those kids. And, when they come out and they got the blue gloves, it's going to be a real night, and it's going to be an atmosphere like no other. And I thought, our guys fed off that energy.
They come out and make that big run to start the second half. You don't call a timeout. Your team seems to settle down.
I knew somebody was going to ask about that, Sean. I'm glad you did. The assistant said to call one. So I think they went up 6, right? And then eventually we got it back. They went on a 6-0 run. I think we tied it. Those are those field plays, right? As a coach, you got to kind of feel it out. And I think with an older team, we're going to need those timeouts. And I talk about problem solving all the time. We do a lot of situational basketball. We do a lot of things at practice. And I trust our guys, right, to get into offense, to keep playing. And we needed those timeouts at the end. Steve did a nice job. He tried to, trap Drake there, trying to hold the ball, run a play. We needed those timeouts. But I knew somebody was going to ask that, and I think that's a great question, and I think it's just a feel thing, Yeah. I mean, I got good guys. They're connected, and they got to problem solve. Sometimes it's on them to problem solve.
14 turnovers on the team. I don't think has had double-digit turnovers since like early November.
Yeah, they're a Steve Alford team. This is Steve Alford. If you go back and watch his clips, looking at him coming off pin downs or flares, there's not a ton of teams running offenses like this, where there's not a lot of ball screens and there's not a lot of, just playing out of pick and rolls, right? Their MO is off ball screens. And I think, honestly, it fits their team. I went back and watched about 8 of their games, went back and watched, the games against UC Davis and just a lot of their early games. They were playing two bigs. I think they're really good at running what he's running. I think he's identified an offense that fits his team. We were a little bit antsy the last 3 days because how are we going to be able to create steals, right, when they don't dribble that much? So to get 14 and not get impatient because we like to steal the ball and get out and play fast, I thought the guys did a good job of just, continuing to take punches and continue to punch back. That's a classic Mountain West game.
Now you get 16 offensive rebounds, but you only give up 2 points off of those. How big is that?
Yeah, I mean, we had talked to a lot of coaches, and you don't see a team live. You can't really see it on tape, but this team's is as physical as any team we've played. They crash the glass. Their wings are very, very tough. They've got some interchangeable wings that are like 6'4", 6'5". They got long arms. They make an effort to go. Elijah Price is, right now the best rebounder in our conference. I mean, the kid has gotten better and better. He's coming off a great week. He goes and gets 13 and 11 tonight. He's just tenacious. He really is. And, I thought all of our bigs collectively did a pretty good job. But I think we got beat on some of our wings and some of our guards because I thought our bigs really battled. I thought Zach had, a timely basket. I thought he played really hard. I thought KT made some big plays, right? Every basket in this game really mattered. So everybody kind of contributed.
One of those baskets was that end of that 10-0 run when Drake missed that second free throw. Keller tips it out to Mason. He kicks it out to MJ for that three.
That was huge. I thought that was a big turning point play. I thought when Mason stole the ball on the inbound, John Henson asked me, what does Mason Falslev, mean to Utah State? He's really what college athletics is about, right? Back in the day, kids valued wearing the jersey, and the university really meant something, and they grew each year with the fan base. And I'm so proud of our donors, and all the people that stepped up and made sure that we kept him here in town. He deserves to get his number retired. I've said that numerous times. I think he's on pace to do that. And he's one of the elite players that's ever wore the uniform. And tonight, whether it was stealing the ball, making a big free throw, right? Like he made huge free throws. He's worked at that. I've gotten people send me emails about, his free throw shooting. I think he's doing just fine. The kid works, and I love him to death.
How nice is it to just have, the guy that usually goes for 22 only has a measly 14, and you turn around, the other guy's got 26.
Yeah, MJ, he was a little antsy. I thought he was pretty antsy tonight, right? I thought he made some bad reads on pin downs. Instead of, curling and, getting to the rim, he kind of chased the ball. You can't chase the ball, but a big game. First time he's done that. We'll correct that tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a cleanup day. But he guards, he's motored up. Colby's motored up. Drake's motored up. That's the difference, right? Like everybody should admire this team's determination. The story tonight, the headline should be our defense, right? Like we held a really good team to 62 points when we had a bad night. We couldn't do that last year, right? So we've made a lot of strides, spent a lot of time. I can't tell you how much time in this building in the summer. Coach Hout and I just evaluating the tape, trying to stay out of rotations, the changes we're going to make, the changes we made in the portal to make sure we're identifying the right guys that fit this system. And the great teams, I've said, it got to win with offense and win with defense. And tonight certainly was our defense.
One of those things on defense, you guys took our shot blocking team. You defend anything well, but aren't getting blocked. We had 8 of them tonight.
Yeah, we don't have any 6, 7 footers jumping up blocking shots. Honestly, once again, it was kind of a collective unit. Drake Allen gets a couple blocks. KT, guys are just flying around. I really believe they were imposing their will. I give Nevada a ton of credit. They just kept fighting back. Our guys made 4 or 5 more plays and fed off the crowd. But there was a lot of bang plays, right? Like our guys are constantly wanting to do this right on the review. And I think we got one of the best review guys out there. I think we're now 4-1 on reviews. We lost to Montana State, but shout out to Kern Walsh. He's got a very stressful job. We've got to get our angles fixed here. I don't know what we got to do. Grant and Jaden, I don't know if that's your department, but they keep complaining that the angles of the camera, they can't see the replay. But our guys keep doing this all the time. I thought it was a hard game to officiate. I thought the crew was pretty good. They let us play through some things. There were some fouls. Their job's not easy. And there's nights you look at the tape, and we still got to clean up some of our fouling.
On the stretch, it felt like Adlin was everywhere, especially defensively. Had a steal, had a lot of deflection. How important was he down that final run?
I mean, he's just, he cracks me up. I mean, he's just, sometimes he's not where he's supposed to be. He's in the way. I call the middle of the key inside the 3 a pool, and we don't want to drown. So what I mean by that is when Drake or Mason or MJ, they get in there and they pass it, we got to have space. So sometimes Adlin's in there and he doesn't understand spacing concepts yet. But the wingspan, the 3-pointer he made was massive. He just brings a different type of length and size to that defense. And he made a lot of big plays. And hopefully him and EP, games like this will get these guys ready for March. But I thought, all in all, it was a lot of guys played good minutes.
Coach, just talk about the level of hunger and hustle you've seen from these guys in recent games. I think one stat that really stands out to me tonight is Nevada with 16 second chances, but only converting 3 points out of that. Just talk about, it's rare to see a team that has this level of skill, also be able to put their bodies on the line and go for every play.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. There's a reason we're in the top 25. You're not in the top 25, at the mid-major plus level unless you're a pretty good team. And you're not in the top 13 or 14 of the net. Bartorvik and Ken Palm, top 20, top 25. I don't know where we dropped. But we're balanced. And our guys have bought in that from day one. Starting in the offseason, our practices have been 60, 65% defense. Now, recently, over the last month, I've stole a lot of time and made some adjustments to our offense to make sure that we can get organized, we understand spacing, we can read the ball, we're training their eyes, right? We know our package going into the game. But you're really, really proud of the guys battling, flying around, jumping on balls, getting loose balls, contesting shots, finishing plays, and winning ugly. Quite frankly, I thought it was an ugly game. And to be able to do that is pretty awesome with this group.
Coach Calhoun's post-game comments here on KVNU Aggie Calls. Stockton Jukes, J.D. Walker hanging out with you and getting ready to wrap things up. Stockton, do we have any more on the text line?
Yeah, one more. 8070 says Mason could borrow some of KT's drama when he gets fouled. Still love KT, though. Yeah, Carson, big man can flop around a little bit. That's okay. Big men aren't quite as coordinated as Mason Falslev. We're not asking him to be. That's going to do it for the KVNU text line tonight. I think most people are starting to get tired. That works for me. I got class at 9 a.m. tomorrow. But I do have a couple final thoughts for you, JD.
All right, final thoughts. I like it.
First and foremost, don't mess with the herd.
Yeah.
You mess with the bull, you get the horns. And I fear Grand Canyon students are about to find that out firsthand. I'm seeing a lot of mouths writing checks that I'm not sure their team can cash on Saturday. I get that it's a great home environment. I get that the fans are passionate. Their average crowd is pretty decent. It's a lot better than some of the other teams in the Mountain West, but it's just not the herd. This is a team that lost by 9 to Youngstown State at home, lost by 13 to Iowa at home, lost by 6 to Oklahoma State at home, lost by 10 to Colorado State at home, a team that we beat by 42, JD.
Yeah, their wins, San Jose State, Boise, and after the IU Indianapolis Jaguars.
Yeah,
Trevor Lawrence play for them, or no? That's a different Jaguars. So,
yeah, listen, you can talk all the smoke as a student section if you want, but when your team is sitting at 10-6 and 3-2 in conference through its first 5 games, not to mention you just got dog walked by 23 in Albuquerque last night, I'm not sure you should be yapping quite as much as you are. I respect the passion. I respect the commitment to camp out. But again, you're taking a summer break camp out right now. Grand Canyon students are not missing classes for this. It is 78 degrees. It's about as fair weather as it gets. I'm glad they're excited to be in the Mountain West. I'm glad they're excited for this matchup. Unfortunately, I think they're in for a very rude awakening in about 72 hours. So looking forward to Saturday. I've got some stuff bookmarked for after that game, and I'm hoping I get to use it.
It'll be definitely interesting to see how it's going to work out. And just thinking about how they play at home, Colorado State went in there, took care of business. They did beat San Jose State. Congratulations on that. But that's kind of going to be a test for them to see. And looking at just the early metrics, the Aggies and points against, field goal percentage, rebounds, assists, Grand Canyon does have them on the blocks, but other than that, steals. The Aggies winning. The early predictor match is 75% Aggie victory to a 25%, what are they called? Lopes?
Yeah, the Antelopes. Let's also clarify that they're only ahead in blocks by 0.1 per game. So
yeah, that might update after today, after the block party that the guys threw in the Spectrum.
Let's see if they've updated on ESPN yet. No, I don't think they have. They've updated the record. I don't think they've put the stats in quite yet.
All right, man, that's going to wrap it up for us here for Aggie Call. It is a beautiful Blue A on top of Old Main. The next time we're going to see you 11:30 on Saturday as the Aggies hit the road and visit the Grand Canyon in Phoenix. I know I'm not the sharpest spoon in the drawer, and geography is not really my strong point, so I'm going to have to find how the Grand Canyon is close to Phoenix. We'll work on that and many other Grand Canyon little facts and fun stuff.
I'm going to throw one more thing in here real quick. 13 of the last 15 regular season games for the Utah State Aggies will be on national television with the potential for it to be 14. Right now, the non-national TV games are February 10th against Fresno State and March 7th season finale against New Mexico. It'd be foolish for a network not to pick up that New Mexico game. The Fresno State game will probably be left on the Mountain West Network and KMYU, but March 7th against New Mexico, I think it's a 2:30 tip-off. That's probably going to get picked up on national TV, and that means Utah State's playing 14 of their last 15.
And is there a chance, you've been exposed to this a lot longer, is there a chance that other game, I know it's just Fresno State, but maybe. Is there a chance it picks up, if the Aggies are ranked, it could be good TV to check?
It really mostly depends because it's a poor matchup on what else is going on that day. Utah State can be the number one team in the country, and
it's Fresno.
So yeah, it'll depend. But I think that the New Mexico game will get picked up, and I think it's foolish if they don't. So,
all right, ladies and gentlemen, for Stockton Jukes, I'm J.D. Waterker. You guys have a great night. Cache Valley, the A is blue, and we'll see you next time, Saturday at 11:30. What is it? Man, I don't even want to do the math of how many hours away it is.
11:30 a.m., that is 50... don't ask me.
Let's get
60 hours.
Yeah, 60 hours.
No.
Let's get some sleep.
I don't know. Stop asking me.
We're trying to do math right before midnight. See you back on the Valley's Morning News tomorrow morning. Me and Stockton back on Saturday. Take care, guys, and go Aggies.
We may lose and we may win, but we will never be here again. So open up, I'm climbing in. So take it easy.
This Utah State broadcast has been a presentation of News Talk KVNU and the Cache Valley Media Group, the heritage home for the Aggies.